I'm gonna start recording if that's all right with everybody.
Sure.
Hey Donna, how's it going? Leslie and Justin, nice to see you.
Hi, Nick. Thanks for having us. We're glad to be here.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming. Hi Emma. Nice to see you in person.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.
All right, we'll give it a couple more minutes, but how was everybody's fourth?
That was good.
Yeah.
So can you see everybody that's in this meeting?
I can you?
No, I only see whoever's talking.
Okay, there is an option in the corner of your screen. It should be like a little panel that says view. If you click on that and click gallery, you should be able to see everybody that's in the meeting.
Where am I seeing this?
Are you on an iPad or a computer?
Yeah, I'm on an iPad.
Try the options area, and if you see something that says view, there's an option in there, and you want to click gallery, as in like the view thing.
Got it.
Perfect.
Did everybody see a bunch of fireworks on the lake? They were pretty good.
Oh, where were they?
All over.
Yeah.
Up on my area anyways.
Yeah.
I saw a few of them. I don't really live on the lake. I live on the river. So I can't really see what goes on the lake unless I drive my boat out there.
Well, all right, 6:03. So I'll admit people as if they are coming in. Can everybody hear me okay? See me okay?
Yep. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks everybody for joining. Sorry, PJ, I don't think we can hear you if you're talking. Can you hear us or? Let me try typing in the chat real quick. Oh, she might try to rejoin in to connect. All right. I will admit her in when she comes back in. To start off, does anybody have any questions, concerns, anything that they've observed over the last 2 weeks since our last meeting? Any new members have anything they'd like to ask or concerns that they want to raise or anything like that?
I was wondering if, I think it was Anthony's partner that was going to check about the clear cutting. Is there any?
Her and Justin were working on that. And Georgia is not able to make it, but I believe Anthony and Justin are informed on it as well.
Okay, all right.
How about the red buoy? Any results from that testing at all, or is that just at the end of the year?
So I actually do have an update on that, and I'll go over tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. Anthony or Justin, do you all want to? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I think Anthony's.
Yeah, I can speak. So good evening, everybody. So a couple things, Nick. I know from the past few meetings, and there's some new faces tonight, and it's awesome to see them. And there's some people, Donna and Anthony, that have been here, but we're missing a couple other ones, Georgia, Chad. Can't remember the name, but there was an older couple from down the lake.
Ken and his wife, and then Wayne as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know Dan Garrett was on a meeting a few weeks ago. I thought he was going to try to join tonight. So just a few things. I know that we have been talking for a while about trying to come up with a name.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I did this past week was I know there was some concern in one of the beginning of the meetings about calling everything an association, and people were scared of associations. I was just curious what other people did in the state. So last week, within 15 minutes of being on Google, We are literally surrounded by associations.
Hmm.
The biggest ones
Yes.
are Copasacanti, Tacoma. It's just I was shocked at the number of associations. So I'm not sure why association was such kind of a hot button topic issue that it was with some people in the group.
Mhm.
I wish Dan was on here from the Dam Commission because I know that he's been involved with the lake for quite a while.
Mhm.
One of the things that I found was there used to be a Sabattus Lake Association, but it was disbanded in what I could find it looked like 2005. And it appeared to be dissolved because they had to submit yearly report. Oh, sorry, we got somebody peeking over in the background. Um, it appeared what I could find that it was dissolved because they have to submit some sort of yearly report, and it was never submitted. So I'm not sure what that report was and what that cause was. But I know that Nick, if you're able to share your screen, we had talked last time kind of like about Sabattus Lake Community, Sabattus Lake Watershed. Georgia made a couple images with some different wording and backgrounds on them, and maybe Nick can share them a little later.
Nick, Nick has those, right? You have those, Nick?
Yes, I
Yeah,
have them
okay,
ready to
good.
go. So yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Oh, and there's Leslie too.
Hi.
Specifically regarding the and AB, you might have a little more info, but I just was reading George's email before I got online. She reached out to the state of Maine and got a hold of a forest ranger who basically the owner of the property did file for a permit from the state for a timber harvest. So Georgia worked on that end with the state. I actually stopped into the town of Sabattus last week to the town office. The code enforcement officer wasn't in, but when I told them about the logging operation, the fact that they had where it was, they pulled it up on the tax maps and they said it was on a different road. I'm like, well, they cut a road in and they have a huge parking area. They said, well, they can't do any of that without a permit.
Mhm.
So they were going to forward my complaint, I guess, if you will, towards the code enforcement officer. I called the town office today to just check in to kind of get some background on what they found out before the meeting tonight. Nobody from code enforcement was there, and I left a message, and they didn't call me back before end of business day today.
Okay.
In reading George's email, it sounds like the state and the town are supposed to work together. There's supposed to be some erosion controls and stuff like that. That is not the case. The town had no idea that it was going on last week when I stopped in. So it'd be curious to see, unfortunately I was hoping to have some more info tonight, but they did not reply back to me before tonight's meeting. So we're still in a holding pattern as far as what that says. And I know, I was trying to read through George's email quick, and I know she sent it to you, Nick, and AB, you're her spokesperson tonight. But it sounds like they filed the permit, but they're supposed to work with the town, but the town doesn't know that they're doing any work up there. So it's a whole scenario. But they are still going gangbusters up there. They're still ripping trees off that mountain and hauling them down. And I've noticed, I'm not sure if it's just me being more aware, but it does look like the road that they've cut in off of 132. There is a lot more mud and dirt that's being washed out into the road and across to the water side. It's probably the damage has probably already been done, especially with all the rain that we've had. But hopefully they can get something in place before winter time with snow melt and stuff like that before next spring. So that's that's really all that I have.
She sent an email. She sent an email today that was Shane Dugan at the state, trying to get some information about what the deal is around the clear cutting and express concerns about the effect on the pond because of the water quality and the algae blooms and the likely erosion. So we'll see what kind of response she gets. That was done earlier today. But yeah, no, it looks pretty bad.
Yeah.
I love that we're doing our due diligence. That's a good sign.
Absolutely. Honestly, great work, Justin and Georgia. I know Georgia isn't here, but the email that she sent was very detailed, and she definitely did her due diligence as well. I definitely
right.
think, sorry.
To say it's frustrating because, I think Sabattus is the same way, you want to take down, you want to do something and, they're really strict and you bring a tree guy in, like, I can't do this, I can't do that. And I know we're right on the lake, but the way they're doing the clear cutting is not that far. To be able to wipe out that many trees, it's not a good thing.
No, I mean, that type of old growth in trees is very important for erosion control. And especially in such a high risk area as Sabattus Pond as well. Like great work, Justin, in Georgia. Very much appreciated. Definitely keep up on it. If you pass that area again, Justin, definitely, like, if you see that type of like washout into the road or anything like that, I would definitely recommend taking pictures because, from just what you all have preliminarily found out, it definitely seems like maybe some policies and procedures weren't followed to the T or completely done, especially if Sabattus had no idea that this was even going on when the state should be working with them at the same time. So that is
I
definitely
mean, we saw,
concerning.
yeah,
Yeah.
we saw what happened in Vermont, and you get that kind of rain here, and there's only so much you can prevent, but that certainly will exacerbate it.
Mhm.
Clear cutting.
Absolutely, it does have an impact. And joining us today is Emma from the Androscoggin Soil and Water Conservation District. Is that right?
Yeah, it's Androscoggin Valley,
Oh,
actually.
Androscoggin Valley. Yeah.
So we service both Androscoggin and Saginaw counties. Yeah, so hello, everyone. My name is Emma. I'm the project director here at the district. There are conservation districts all across the country, usually one in every county. We service 2 counties. They're sort of smaller, but we do have a pretty large population within our 2 counties. What else can I tell you? I do a lot of outdoor education, primarily is like my focus. So I work at summer camps in schools and working with a lot of youth groups. But I also do a lot of work with watershed management. So just in the past year, I have helped with the Taylor Pond Watershed Survey that was completed back in June, and then also helped a really pretty big operation on the Thompson Lake Watershed Survey. So I'll give you a little bit of background about that, because Sabattus Pond is actually ready for a new one. Generally, every 8 to 10 years, a watershed survey is completed. Basically, what the survey is a crew of technical leaders, so staff members and groups of volunteers will head out into the entire watershed. So that's shorefront property, but also any lakes, streams, tributaries, streams and tributaries that will lead to the lake as well, and get sort of a lay of the land and see where there are problem points. So areas where there's a lot of erosion or very evident erosion, and we'll make notes of those specific sites. And then from there, a report will get made. All this, kind of bureaucracy stuff happens. And then the hope is that then you can apply for federal funding. So this, it's called 319 funding. This is federal money that has been set aside from the Clean Water Act that is distributed through by the state. So it's federal money distributed by the state. Sabattus Ponds is, because it is such, because there's been a lot of, a heavy history of challenges on Sabattus Ponds. They actually are eligible for more funding. So there's funding available to actually complete this survey for Sabattus Pond. So you'd be able to receive funding. I actually don't know that much about that part, receiving funding before the survey. But I could figure it out and get back to you on that. But basically, there would be a smaller amount of money to complete the survey, and then there would be more money following the survey to actually fix the erosion problems that were identified during the survey. So generally what this means, just a second. Generally what this means is roads, private roads, public roads, like big problems. But there also can be, depending on the project, there can be, I don't know if Sabattus needs like an alum treatment or some kind of like a bigger cost, fix. So there can be funding available for that kind of stuff. Oh, and then the other thing that I was going to say is sometimes funding can be available for individual property owners if they have sites that were identified. If you don't want to fix something on your property, you don't have to. We're to non-enforcement, non-regulatory, no finger pointing that happens because of these surveys. But if people want to fix the problems identified on their site, they might be able to apply for some of that money. Was there a question?
Yeah, I think Justin had a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Emma, thank you. I think it's really great to have you here as part of the Androscoggin County Conservation District. So a couple of multi-point questions. I don't know if you want me to ask one and then answer it, or ask like all of them and then you can then you can go from there. But how intimately involved is your organization with the other lake associations in the area? I think is that's in Kennebec County, right? Like Copasaconte, Tacoma Lakes, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know that.
But are you involved with other lake associations for Watershed Project as part of the county that oversees those districts for Sagadahoc and Androscoggin?
I mean, I try and be friendly with them. I try and do some outreach to them, because we do provide some free programming for lake associations and stuff to help like landowners learn more about how they can mitigate their own erosion, and how, what is erosion, all that kind of stuff. So I try and personally do outreach to lake associations, but not and then obviously during the watershed surveys, we work pretty intimately with the association that is in charge of that watershed.
Fantastic. Another question, and this is probably geared towards Nick as well. Bates College received a grant, I think it was in 2019, to do some studying on the water. And then you just said that with the Clean Water Act, there's federal money that's involved, and Sabattus is kind of ranked in a higher category. Is that all pulled from the same funding, or is that separate funding for the grant? And have you, I know Nick has reached out to try to get with the professor that's running that survey. Have you been involved with any of Bates' study on Sabattus Pond water quality and their scientific data?
I have not been involved with whatever Bates project, whatever the Bates project is. It doesn't sound like that's the same as the federal 319 money.
And
Nick may be able to speak to that more.
I actually have an update that I'm going to talk about. I actually spoke with Holly and some of her students that are working on it too. So, and I actually presented my work and research to them last Friday. So things are connecting and moving with that. And it's, I'll go into detail after this topic, but it's their grant is actually a National Science Foundation grant, still federal money, but from different pools.
So often that can also be used to match Yeah, there's like all these grant things. I'm like currently writing a grant right now, so so many grants. Yeah, so I'm just here for that sort of like preliminary information. I definitely know that there are challenges that come with Sabattus Pond, and I'm so happy to hear that there are that there's like an interested effort forming to do something about it. I can certainly be available to assist with working on getting a watershed survey completed in the next couple of years. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If anybody has any other questions for me, feel free.
And that
have a-
survey is required for the 319 grant funding, correct?
I have a question.
Okay.
You're talking mostly, your survey is going to be concerned with erosion around the lake and things like that, and roads and things like that. And I'm wondering about agricultural use for the land that's around the lake. We've got a river that dumps into the lake, Dead River, and it goes pretty far up, and there's some agricultural things going on further up that I question whether anything is being dumped into the river that's heading into the lake. Is that going to be part of your survey?
So this part is a little bit tricky. It's a good question. So the Dead River would be part of the watershed survey because it is like part of the watershed. So there would definitely be that we would definitely be surveying that area. That being said, it's generally residential areas that are, and I don't know if, I don't think that the survey directly includes agricultural lands. So that is my understanding, but definitely something to explore for sure.
So if phosphorus is being increased in the Dead River is dumping into Sabattus Pond, that would increase the phosphorus levels in the pond as well, which would work on all the weeds that are growing in the lake. So it's like, it's like a chain effect.
Yeah, I mean it is definitely the problems that all of our lakes are facing for sure.
Recording in
What?
Oh, I think it was just somebody's computer saying recording in progress. Who just logged in.
Okay. Do you know when this survey is going to take place?
There's no this is not started. I just talked about it.
Yeah, this is very preliminary. I asked Emma to come here tonight to speak and just tell us a little bit about her work and the organization. And I think she will be a very useful resource and partner moving forward as our group progresses as well. So thank you very much.
About a two-year timeframe. Best case scenario.
Yeah, that's best case scenario, definitely.
And is there
I
some
can do
reason?
some more research on how to apply for funding for a survey itself. Because the survey takes money as well. It might be like $10,000 because you have to pay technical leaders, you have to pay for like postage to send out information to everybody in the watershed, and generally that cost falls upon the lake association. There are ways to for the state to help, because the state can be hired and they provide free technical assistance, but you have to get in with them at a certain time. So yeah, there's a lot of hoops that need to go through. But I can definitely do some more research on how Sabattus Pond specifically can apply for, it's actually called 603B or 604B. So I can look into that for you.
But if I'm hearing you correctly, we would need to definitely have some sort of association in order. I think you said the Lake Association is responsible for coming up with the money. There's ways to get help with that, but there needs to be an association. Is that
I mean,
right?
I don't know that specifically. I just
Okay.
am only familiar with lake associations because
Yeah,
they're
who would be responsible aside from the various towns, right? It sounds like you
Right.
have to have a lake.
yeah, exactly. Like the Lake
Okay.
Association is the spearheader of the survey because
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
the concerned groups of citizens,
Okay.
you know.
All right. Thank you.
So
Yep.
I love that. Sorry, Leslie here, Emma. I love, and I'd love to learn more about the work you're doing with like communities and kids and like, here's why water is important. And so I think there's like a long game here and a short game. And I think some of that is played with like, I look at my kids. We told our kids we were coming to this meeting tonight. They're like, can you please tell them there's more weeds this year? Like there's kids, we literally just got off the boat. We took our son water skiing and the rope was just covered in grass, and that's never happened before. And so in my 40 years at the lake, that was one thing they want to say. So I think there might be a short-term opportunity for some educational, and if we
Yeah.
get volunteers mobilized to do some of this, like I'm just trying to think like, what don't we need money for that we can start socializing change management in the short term before we can do these bigger ideas of we got to fix the lake. So I love, and thank you for the work you're doing. I think getting the kids involved is huge because they're going to inherit the house and the lake and the things. So I just love that.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And I think that, part of like watershed surveys in general is just about outreach. It's about like getting people to understand like this is the cause and this is the effect and this is how you can make small changes to make a big impact. Like all of those like little lessons help us to be better stewards for the lake, for the land, like for all of the things. So totally.
All right.
Donna, did you have a question?
Oh, is there any reason that we couldn't include agricultural sources to the survey?
I will look into that more. I'll write it down.
I think in the past
I'll look into that.
I think in the past we've looked at golf courses.
Yeah, that's not the same though.
Okay.
But I'll look into that. Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions for Emma? Awesome. Great. You're more than welcome to
Happy
stay
to
if you
be
want.
here.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And we will definitely be using you as a resource and partner moving forward as well. All right. So we can dive in. You all want to dive into some names and stuff like that? Get that out of the way. Some discussion. I can share my screen right here. So these are just the list of the names that we have going right now. Let me just make it a little bit more of a comprehensive list. We had some additions from Georgia this past week, which was the last one, the Sabattus Pond Watershed Community. And then we have the other ones from the previous weeks, Sabattus Pond Watershed Project, Sabattus Pond Recovery Group, Saving Sabattus Pond, and Sabattus Pond Community, and then Sabattus Pond Saving Sabattus Pond Watershed as a thing. So, I mean, the name itself, it definitely is important in the syntax of the type of terminology we use, I think is important as well. But I think it also is important that we do pick something relatively soon, just so we can kind of like capitalize on this this buzz that's being generated about this to create outreach mechanisms, like communication methods, either like a Facebook to have an official name and maybe to even start incorporating as a nonprofit. So that way we can actually receive grants, because typically they are usually only distributed to either official organizations or nonprofit groups for the most part, from my understanding. So, I mean, that is something to consider. Now, does anybody feel very strongly about a specific one of these names that are listed? Does everybody can see it okay? I can zoom in as well. We also have some mock-ups that Georgia had done, and I will put those on just so we can kind of see what's going on.
And again, this was, I think she did exactly what Justin did, sort of went around and looked at the different associations to help, get some ideas.
Absolutely, yeah.
I like
this-
that one right there, Nick.
This one right here, Sabattus Pond Watershed Project. That's definitely one of the options.
I don't know, Dan, I specifically requested that she add a bird, so I would ask that you hold off until you see the one with the little bird.
There is one. It looks great. So here's another design, and the name is just used as an example. We can also replace whatever name we choose for whatever design we do like. As one too. Let me see if I can switch this so we can view these all at once. There we go. That is right there. Do a little zoom. Nice little bird sunset, little Sabattus Mountain, it looks like, some grass and some lake.
I asked Georgia about this specifically. It could be sunset or sunrise, depending on, because we live on,
Depending on what side of the lake
we
you're
face
on.
west.
Depends
So-
on which side of your lake you're on.
Very
Yeah.
true. Very true.
Now, is that green line the water?
It could be water or grass.
It could be water or grass with this lake, I suppose.
Purposefully left up to interpretation.
And so the next one we have is similar to the others. Different name associated. Sabattus Pond Watershed Alliance is an option. I can add that in. And Sabattus Pond Watershed Project as well. So we have, it looks like we have two variations, more of the sunset or in the bird focus. We'll call this one the bird focus one. And then we have more of the simplified one too. So any discussion on those? Let me see if I can pull them up at the same time.
I go with the bird one.
I do like the bird one too.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
I just wanted to
Preferences?
show you this one.
Oh,
Does anybody remember this one?
I remember that one. That was the Sabattus Pond Watershed Partnership.
Right. That's the lake.
That's the lake.
Yeah.
Nick, I've been hoping someday I'll see you because I want to give you one of these.
oh yeah, no, I'd love it.
I think Sabattus Pond Watershed makes sense. And I hemmed and hawed over this over the week around like watershed being like, oh, does that mean you live on the lake, but we want to expand it? And I think it captures that.
Mhm.
Community, I like because it's that sense of community, but then I think too, like project is like we have action. That's the call to action. So for me, like whatever logo, but Sabattus Pond Watershed Project, because to me, that's like, that's action based. It's like we have a mission and we are going, but we need a mission statement too. But
Mhm.
like it's that like active call to, yeah, the call to action, which I like.
Mhm.
But that's just me. And again,
Are you able to show them all at once? So we can see all together?
Yeah, I can definitely just
okay,
put them
great.
into something. Hold on, let me just create a quick PowerPoint slide and just throw them in there.
and AB, I agree. The bird was a great addition.
Yeah.
The bird stays. The logo is beautiful, and I appreciate Georgia taking her time to do. If we all
Really,
agree.
she enjoyed doing it. She said the program was really fun to play with.
All right, let me see if I can throw these all at once.
And Donna, I want one of those mugs too. We should meet up because that feels like a vintage piece of art that I should own. It's lovely.
Okay, we'll do that.
I used to have a few of those, Donna.
Yeah, I've got like 4 or 5. Oh, and I've got, I think I might still have some of those clocks.
How old are they? Like from what time period?
207
Oh,
to
okay.
20,
Yeah.
20.
Yeah, 20,
Yeah.
2001, 02.
Oh, it might have been before I got here. Yeah, I moved here in 2005, but this organization was already up and running. So you already had this stuff going.
Actually, it may go back to 99.
Okay.
But as
And-
far as the mugs, we hadn't gotten to marketing mugs that early.
But Emma, this was all part of the Androscoggin Valley Watershed, the Sabattus Pond Watershed Partnership, and we were closely coordinating with your organization.
Yes.
Yeah, with
PB Hardesty.
Phoebe. Yeah.
Hardesty. Yeah.
And Susan
Yeah, Sue
Gorman?
Gammon.
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 Yeah.
Yeah. Sue Gammon. But Sue
Yes, I've
Gammon
heard
was later.
so many beautiful things about both of them and all the amazing work that they did while they were here.
All right, so I can get 2 on each screen with it on the side. Is that better?
Oh, look at
Can
that.
you all
That's
see?
Yeah. Sorry to
Okay.
ask you to do that. I
No,
don't
no,
realize
how
that
about,
it took that long.
Yeah, no,
How
it's
about
okay.
the Sabattus Pond Watershed Project with the bird?
With the bird, okay. I definitely do agree.
Can it be possible to put the bird in?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, she can change the lake thing.
So I'm leaning towards the one on the left. Is that what you're saying, Dan, or are you leaning to the one on the right?
I'm looking at the one on the left, but
Yeah.
rather than Sabattus Pond Watershed Community, make it Sabattus Pond Watershed Project.
I see. Okay, I hear you.
I agree. I think that's great.
I agree too.
I
like
agree.
that.
Perfect.
So
Oh.
not association, right?
Correct, yeah. It looks like we're going with project.
Well, and I think association carries AB, you live on our road, so like I've launched the idea of in this tiny town like of a road association, and people don't love it. So that's why associate, and I know Justin did all this work. He's like, it's all associations. I'm like, you put association on that, there's some people who are not going to buy in.
And actually, Dan, I'm glad that you're on here now. I didn't see when you joined because I just focused on who's ever speaking on the
I was
screen.
late coming in.
No, that's completely fine. But when I started off, I know that you've been involved with the lake for quite a bit. The last thing I could find on a Sabattus Lake Association, there used to be one, but it looked like it was dissolved in 2005. And I know you're just talking with Donna about the cups and stuff. Were you involved when it was the association back then? And it looks like the only thing I could see was it was dissolved because there wasn't a yearly report submitted. I didn't know if you had more background information on that, just kind of while we're all looking at the pictures here that Nick put in the slideshow.
The Sabattus Lake Association has been or was, I'm going to say back in the 60s. By the time 1999, 2000 came around, the Sabattus Pond Watershed Partnership was formed because the Lake Association had been ineffective for a long time, and they were ineffective. So the Watershed Partnership was formed. All of these we received three 319 grants to do watershed surveys and other things. And it went on for, now the Lake Association folded, and basically the way they folded was, distributed their, whatever they had for funds and closed. In 2000.
There was some kind of, there was some kind of conflict, wasn't there, Dan?
Yeah, I didn't want to go there, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. There was
Yes,
some kind of competition conflict sort of a thing, so. And I don't remember what the details are either.
Yeah, that was part of the Sabattus Lake Association and also the Sabattus Pond Watershed Partnership. There was conflict. It became who do you know type thing. It became a family run association.
Kind of like Wales Town Hall.
Well, I don't know. Wales is
Oh,
pretty
wow,
good.
you went there. That's amazing. No,
Well,
Dan, I
Donna-
appreciate that history lesson. Thank you. Because when this was first brought up a couple of weeks ago, people were very like, association, and they were all against it. But a lot of surrounding communities around us have watershed lake associations and projects and stuff. So, thank you for that history lesson, because, us younger people or people newer to the lake who don't know the history, such as yourself, I think that it's good not to try to make the same mistakes as past, or also use a name from the past that somebody may remember and not give it much credence or potential to learn and grow. If there are, like you say, the Hatfields and the McCoys, and they're fighting, oh, I remember when it used to be that. And if we just start fresh, I think that's a great idea.
Rebrand. Yep.
So
Right.
Thank you for that, Dan.
And I wait to hear more about that, maybe offline.
Okay.
Heard stories from my uncles from way back. So I was, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. So Sabattus Pond Watershed Project with the bird logo, correct? Everybody's good?
I
Awesome.
think it looks good.
I like it.
Awesome. I will include that
I
in.
like Donna's cup.
That was pretty intricate.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
It's got the mountain and a rainbow and yeah. I'll get it to Leslie.
I forget where the original picture, because all we did is we had that picture in Woody and Annie.
Yep.
They sent it out. They had T-shirts made. They had a whole bunch of stuff like that.
Clocks.
If you remember.
Clocks.
I don't remember the clock, but I
Oh, I
remember
still
the
have a
cups. I remember
clock.
T-shirts. You do have a clock?
Yep. Still ticking.
Still ticking. So good clock.
Yeah. But so we're going to be saying goodbye to these former organizations, and we're creating a new one with a new set of bylaws. And
that is the goal. And honestly, too, I imagine it to be very distributed power. So hopefully we can try to avoid some of those missteps and conflicts in the future, essentially. So like I've been saying,
cliquish is the word I should have used.
Yeah.
And that's what it became. The Lake Association.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I found there was clicks on both sides. And each had their own ideas. One wanted clean water, one wanted higher water for recreation.
Mhm.
And then it just kind of split up.
well, maybe with this new format of Zoom, as opposed to little cliques of communities getting together, maybe we can have a more cohesive organization.
Yeah, with
Right.
both thoughts involved, not just
Right.
one or the other, both of them. I mean,
Absolutely.
Everybody on the same
exactly.
computer page.
Right.
Right.
And I mean, finding compromises to those differences is something that's going to happen. Like, that's conversations that we're going to have somewhere down the road. That conflict between recreational use of the pond and more of a focus on environmental sustainability, which could limit the recreational use of the pond over time, is something that will have to be discussed. And it's important to get stakeholders from both sides on each opinion to come to a compromise. And I think that we really can work together and figure something out. So great stuff. All right, so name down. We had Emma speak, which I appreciate. I've been in contact with quite a few other people as well, who might want to make some presentations. I spoke with Addie Halligan from she's an environmental specialist in the watershed management department at the Maine DEP. I've been communicating with her for a couple weeks now. And she actually would love to do a presentation on what they have about the pond and their information sometime in August, if all of you would like that.
Yes.
I think it would be very beneficial. And
I love the idea of the EP. Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah. Perfect. Great. I will email her and let her know. We usually typically do Wednesdays. I cannot do the next 2 Wednesdays, but we can work something out. But August, do we want to set a date for maybe that specific one so I can give her the heads up and she can prepare something for August? Does that work for everybody right now?
I like August, but I think you should share the name of the lucky girl.
Oh, yeah, my fiance's name is Bridget. So, yeah. And
So is
I'm
committing keeping you from this project, because there's a lot of important things here.
no. I have my like cake tasting and flower. We have our flower appointment next Wednesday. So, or the Wednesday after on the 26th.
If you need a committee to help you decide, we're here for you, friend.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think she has a lot of ideas in mind. And, but maybe you guys can give me some agency and a little bit of power to sway some things. But
Good luck with that.
yeah.
Yeah, the first Wednesday in August, I won't be able to attend.
Okay. How about the
Just letting
23rd?
you know.
Yeah, no, I'd like to try to
23rd of
maximize.
August?
Yeah, 23rd of August.
Seems a long way
I don't see
away.
anything now. I
Yeah.
just look at the first Wednesday in August is a dam commission meeting.
Oh, okay.
I have to attend.
Are those meetings public, Dan? Can people
Yes.
go? Oh, they are? Where are they held? I can't find any information.
Right now, they're held at the Wales Town office.
Wales Town office, okay. Town office. Oh, and oh man, I'm blanking on his name. AJ, is that right? The secretary for the dam commission?
Oh, JD.
JD, sorry, JD, yes. He did send me 2 years worth of meeting minutes, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm going to share a link. I've posted them on my Google Drive, and I've begun to go over them. I'm going to post it, the link in the email update I send after this meeting. So if anybody wants to view them, they certainly can. I don't know if that's helpful, but also, is it okay if I put your meeting information and when you meet and where in that email too? What time do you guys meet at on that first Wednesday?
6:30.
6:30. Okay, awesome. Thank you very much, Dan. Appreciate that. All right. We don't have to pick a date specifically for Addie. I can just tell her that we're thinking until it gets a little bit closer, because it is over a month away, and maybe a little bit more, people's schedules will be a little bit more clear or more well known, but maybe just a tentatively shoot for the 23rd. And I specifically won't present that to her, but we can wait if
23rd is a Wednesday.
23rd is a Wednesday. We can do it on a different day too.
We will not be able to make the 23rd. That's just 2 of us.
Okay. Maybe is anybody familiar with the website When to Meet?
Yeah, it's like a yeah. You go on, you can do a, like a doodle poll kind of thing?
Exactly. Yeah. I essentially, whoever would create it would just create a list of days, and then you essentially just go like and quickly highlight which days or times you would be able to do, and it shows collectively who can attend and when. And then essentially, since we're a democratic group, we would just pick the date that has the most availability for everybody and works best. Is that something that people are interested? Justin, question?
Kind of more of a statement, actually. I know that summertime's really hard. You are getting married, schedules and stuff like that.
Mhm.
My personal belief is I would just schedule her for whenever she's available.
Okay.
And when she can do it, if there's not a big gathering, that's unfortunate. However, with you recording meetings, that's a godsend. So if anybody's not able to attend, they wouldn't be able to ask her specific direct questions, but they could at least watch the presentation.
Mhm.
And that's what I did the first couple meetings that I wasn't able to attend. I watched them, caught up, jotted down some notes, who was there, who said what, who brought some stuff up. And I mean, I think trying to get a group as large as us together
Yeah.
on a specific date and time is going to be really hard. So that would just be my suggestion is if she's a guest speaker, she is with the DEP, whenever she's available to join us, who's ever there, great. If they're not there, then you record it and you're really good about sending out the link for the recording and people can just watch it. That's my suggestion.
That's a great point. And honestly, too, beforehand, I can just email the group and say, if you have any questions specifically for her, I can just present them to her, and then we can go from there. That sounds great. That is actually what I'll do, because with the recorded meetings, it still provides access, which I think is important. And I'll try to send out the date that she can do very ahead of time too. So if people do need to switch stuff around or want to, they can. But that works. Okay, I'll reach back out to her for that.
I think
That-
too,
Yeah,
maybe with like the key stakeholders, like not that we need like officers in this group yet
Mhm.
until we like design, but I do like, you have to be there.
Yeah, no, I can make
like-
sure that.
I just want to make sure that there's like a quorum.
Mhm.
Well, not that we're making decisions, but enough people to poke holes and ask all the hard questions and make sure there's a critical mass.
Okay, that's a good
Not-
point too.
Wow, I just like shot you down. Look at that. We'll talk about this later when we're offline.
I kind of like the continuity of Wednesdays if we could get a Wednesday momentum going. Although
Okay.
I'm totally okay with meeting the representative from EPA on her terms, but I do like this Wednesday continuity.
I know she said she was flexible in later August and early September. So if I can shoot for the continuity of a Wednesday and propose that, we can kind of get the best of both worlds that way, I think. And then, of course, still record the meeting for access afterwards. So sound good?
Yep.
Perfect. All right.
Hey, Nick, I wanted to respond to something Cheryl had said earlier.
Sure.
You still there, Cheryl?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Just up past your house, there's a fork in the river.
Yes.
Yes. The fork to the right is what is commonly known as Dead River. The fork
Yep.
to the left is Hooper Stream.
Yes.
Okay, the Dead River starts basically at the base of Highmore Farm on 202. There's a wetland down there. That's the beginning of Dead River, and that runs right through Springbrook Golf Course.
Does it
then-
not also go to Leeds Junction?
Goes right
Yeah.
through Leeds Junction.
Yes.
Okay, that's that river. Hooper Stream, Hooper Pond, which is also known as Little Sabattus, is right on the backside of the green dump.
Yeah.
And if you continue up the hill, cross Allen Pond Road from Allen Pond,
Yeah.
there's a hill up there. There's a little pond up there called Dean Pond, and those are the headwaters of Sabattus Pond.
Exactly. But there's also some agricultural things going on in the Leeds Junction area, and I was just wondering, I don't really know anything, but where there's so much algae and so many more blooming in the river, I'm just wondering if some of that agriculture was being dumped into the dead river.
Well, I would have to say yes,
Yeah,
because it's being farmed a lot more than it used to be.
exactly.
So I'm gonna guess it's being fertilized a lot more than it was.
That's what I'm thinking.
Bingo.
And it's blooming.
It's currently blooming
Yeah.
right now.
It's blooming right down to the lake.
Would you,
It's
Cheryl,
worse this year. Again, my kids, I mean, kids are the barometer, right? They're like, the grass is earlier, the bloom is earlier. This year,
It's
more
bigger too.
markedly and bigger than in the past 10.
Where on the lake are you?
We're on the
Where's Sunset
east,
Cove Road?
yeah,
Route,
right off
Sanborn
Sanborn
Farm.
Okay,
I mean, there's so
Okay,
much
So
grass, we
you're
can't,
in Sabattus.
we're in
We're in
Wales.
Wales.
You're still in Wales on Sunset?
Yes.
Okay, that's off 132, isn't it?
Yeah,
So, so that's south of Anthony and south of me.
it's a bit,
Okay.
yeah.
Throw a stone real far and hit Anthony's.
We're-
Okay.
We're south of you, Donna, but Anthony and Georgia and us are in the same, we're in the same neighborhood.
All right. Well, in my cove, it's pretty ugly today.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of fluorescent.
And it's early. I mean, this is early, mid-July.
I'd like to eventually start, so if we eventually have a website or something, we can do story maps where we have just a map of like the pond and the residents in the watershed. You can put little pins, and the pictures that you take right now can even be used for historical data for when we're even up and running. So, I mean, if you are seeing this stuff, please snap a quick picture, send me
Okay.
it, say the location where you are, and
Oh,
we can
wonderful.
add that all to a map, so people can really start to see like what this is and how this impacts you. I think that's very important. So I mean, if you have some free time, snap a quick picture and
Sure.
we can start putting in a story of this.
So if
And
I took a
Nick-
picture and emailed it to you, you would be able to help put this on a map with pinpoints and,
I would eventually, when we have like something. I mean, I could do it very roughly. I could just create even like a collage of just base information with the pictures themselves. But eventually, like there are very easy ways to put this on a map, put the little pins on there, and start documenting it. You just kind of need like a website or a place to host it so people can access it and view it.
yeah.
Justin and I are joking, we should just turn the camera, because we're outside, we're like, you could see, and I've never seen the tall grass here in front of our property in my 40 something years. And again, the kids, the barometer, right? They're like, they used to be able to jump off the dock and not get tangled in weeds, and now they jump off the dock and they're tangled in weeds. And so that's the story to tell around, like, that's how people are gonna, I think, buy into the project, because kids should be able to jump off the dock and you don't have to worry about pulling them out of the weeds.
But doesn't this get to what we talked about, I think, last week, that, you got the people who are on the lake who care about that, and then there's people who are part of the watershed who aren't on the lake who care less about that, right? And we have to figure out a way to
Yeah.
get them to care as well. I mean, maybe they go to the beach, right? They, or they have a boat and they bring the boat in, even if they don't live on the lake. But strategizing on how to message to the different groups who all have different interests.
Absolutely. I mean,
But there's nothing like a kid's story. I mean,
Yeah,
who
okay,
doesn't love a
yeah.
kid?
Dan, you
I
had
And I also think too, there, AB, you're spot on with, like, not everyone lives on the lake, and I thank you for checking me on that. I appreciate it. I think just growing up here, like, for so long, I'm invested. I think there's a lot of stories to tell, and it's the day tripper bass fisherman. It's the
Oh,
I-
yeah, exactly, yeah.
there's a lot of storylines here, and I think
people use the water district.
people who use the district,
Yeah.
anyone who's looking for waterfront property might be interested in like, well, my kids can't jump off the dock because they might get tangled in weeds. That was the
Yeah,
little
sort of making a bunch of bullet points that cover the people who live on the lake, the people who are the day trippers, that, you know, all the different groups that we want to sort of.
and why, if you're fertilizing your lawn or growing a garden, you can't use some certain chemicals. Like that's, you know, we just had to replant our lawn. We're like, we can't use anything on our lawn. It might not be green, and that's okay. Like there's a lot of ways to message what we're trying to do for the greater
Yeah.
good. That
If-
does not just benefit people who live on the water.
Right. Oh,
If
yeah.
you- If you use lime on your yard, it'll cut down the amount of fertilizer you will need substantially. The lime actually breaks down the natural fertilizer in the soil so that it releases it to your grass. Lime is a really good fertilizer without being a fertilizer.
I love that. And those are like the grassroots thing. I think Emma was talking about, like, get the kids involved, get the people who care about their lawns involved, get the people who live 3 miles in a perimeter around, like, who are involved in the watershed because of well, there's no economic opportunity yet, but there might be, like, long
I mean,
game.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy. I can definitely articulate the impacts from people who that could be felt if this lake does go hypoxic, and like how that will affect them, even if they don't even live on the pond. I mean, you have people who own gas stations or corner stores or bait shops in the 5 different communities that would certainly be affected.
Jack Traps, Main Street Market.
Property values in general. You know,
Yeah.
increases the property load. If the property values around the pond decrease significantly, you know, that increases the property liability for everybody else in the community. So, I mean, all of these things are very connected, but definitely, yeah, there are certain message or certain impact level focuses for specific audiences that should be addressed. So, yeah, great points.
Just one other thing as far as the weeds.
Mhm.
Last weekend, we pulled out 2 30-gallon trash barrels full of weeds right from shore,
Wow.
just floating around the dock. And
Oh,
then
wow.
we went around the lake with the party boat. When I came back, I filled a 3-gallon kitchen bucket with weeds off the back of the motor. This is all stuff floating on the surface.
You know, I saw some today too. And
Like I
it was
said,
unusual.
I
Well,
filled a kitchen bucket with just the crap I took off the back of the motor.
Mm.
And
It was
Ken,
clean.
you all
we
went
have a
around and
pro-
did that?
What's that?
Said you all went around and did that?
No, I've been cleaning up around in front of my property. And like I say, I had two trash barrels full of weeds just coming off the shore, just floating on the edges and around on the dock, tied up and tangled up in the dock and everything else.
well, we have a very productive lake. So with all the phosphorus in it, the
I think-
weeds are going to grow and the algae is going to grow. You have a lot of food for both.
Yeah, it just seems like there's a lot more floating on the surface this year than there has been past couple of years. Maybe it's my imagination, but
No, I
you
think
know,
you
the
might be
way the wind's
right.
blowing.
A lot more what on the surface? I'm sorry.
Weeds,
Oh, yeah, floating, yeah.
Floating
grass,
weeds,
loose
yeah.
grass.
Well,
I mean, it's definitely higher, right? It's definitely higher because of all the rain.
Well, I can't help but
Yeah.
wonder too, if some of it may be washing in from the shoreline that hasn't been exposed to water in the past couple of years because the water's so high. Could be where some of it's coming from. Then the
No.
wind's just blowing it around.
the water is everybody thinks it's high. It's about 2 to 3 inches over the actual high water mark, where the target mark. It's gone up more in a rain event, but typically the extra leaves in a day or two.
Oh, wow, that quickly? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you have 120 feet wide. When you have 5-6 inches going over the top, that's a lot of water that's leaving.
Absolutely. All right. So I'd like to update you all on what I've done and worked with Holly, the professor at Bates.
Yeah.
Um,
so-
Yeah. So I was
Yeah.
very pleased. I'd followed back up with her after our last meeting, and she had emailed me back, and we corresponded a couple times, and she spoke to me on the phone, and we picked a date, and I presented my research and work to her and a couple of her students last Friday. So it was great. I did a little bit longer presentation and a little bit more in depth on the actual specifics of the work that I've done and stuff like that, and the resilience assessment for her and her students. And it was about 40 minutes. And then we actually continued talking with her. And after she had to leave, I continued talking with a lot of her students and an employee for about 2 hours total for the whole thing. So it was great. They are working together to make so they have been collecting data for the since around 2019, 2020. This is the last year of their grant this year right now. They have a decent amount of data, but it's not in any type of presentable form is what they told me. So they said based on the information that I talked about and the participation and concerns from you all that they were going to make it a priority to compile that information and into some presentable form over the next few weeks. So there is no tentative date. They said potentially shooting for maybe end of August for something to present. I'm not entirely sure what it is. From my understanding, they were taking some of the measurements that I had recommended in that resilience assessment that I had conducted, things like dissolved oxygen content, phosphorus level, transparency of the pond, and things like that. Essentially, the whole purpose of me connecting with them and getting access to that information is I want to know if we are starting from square one or we actually have a little bit of information to go off of. And that is really the determining factor of what I'm looking into now. I don't have any updates on that specifically. I can just say that it was very productive, the conversation that I did have with them and the meeting I did have with them. A graduate of Bates who now works on that project with the professor full-time did do a little presentation last year at a conference with some of the data that they collected. She and I are trying to schedule a date for either end of this week or next week and she's going to show me what she has essentially. It's a very short presentation. From my understanding, it's about the stratification of the pond itself. But that's where this update is. It's progressing. It feels good. It feels very collaborative in the sense that they are very open to potentially being involved and trying to do some incorporation with the stakeholder group. The disappointment that I found was that this is the last year of it. So I don't know if they will continue some work, if Bates College will apply for another grant similar to this, knowing that there's this driving stakeholder force like forming in the community. I think it's a great opportunity to perform some type of really good academic research that's also beneficial to us and beneficial to them if they can get additional grant funding. But I don't know. So that is where that is. It has progressed. I'm feeling good about it. And I really would like both of the student that did the presentation last year and for them collectively to present to you all as well. So
Nick,
I'm hoping to get that going. Yep.
You may not have asked this, but did you get a sense that they would be? Is it too early for them to express an interest in wanting to get more grant money? In other words, did you sense that was something they would be willing to do? At least at this point, they're interested in doing?
So they were very excited when I told them about what was going on. And we talked about a lot of the stories that you all had talked about, how it's impacted you. I talked about a lot of the actual individual emails and Facebook messages I received when I started this outreach and engagement. That stakeholder component is what I've been advocating for this whole time and should be in these types of projects that happen from institutions and things like that. They were excited to be a part of it. What that might look like, I'm not sure, it being the last year. But no, I did not specifically ask if they're looking for more grant funding. The next conversation I have with them, I do plan to bring it up because it is an excellent opportunity for more research. And Anthony, on the subject that did you get the email I sent to you about the impacts from the dam removals? I think that is an excellent opportunity too. And
Can I bring up a question or?
Yeah.
I don't know if, I have been told, and what I would like to know if this is a rumor or if it can be verified, but across from me, across from Mars Point in green, there's a huge swath of land that's not developed. And I've been told that that's owned by Bates College. Now, you don't think it's true, Cheryl?
I do
think
not.
it's owned by George Schott.
Well, it depends on what particular piece of land you're looking at. If you're looking at that corner on Sanborn Road,
Yeah.
in
Oh.
green,
Okay,
the farmer Sanborn used to own that years ago, that whole section. And the old man Sanborn has died and left it to their son, and the son has split it up into different parcels and has sold them. So all of those pieces have been sold to individual people. So the corner that's being, I don't know if you've noticed that they've cleared a lot of that in the corner. Somebody's bought that piece. And then between those camps in the corner and the camps on the end, there's a parcel of land that's undeveloped. That has recently been sold. And behind them, it's all been sold. Now, Schatz does own a lot of that land, but the land that borders the lake was owned by Sanborn.
Yeah, and
So-
Chris has bought 100 acres in there, so that will not be developed.
Who did?
Chris,
Yes, Chris
What's
did.
Chris?
right.
Chris Sirois lives over there on that end of the lake, and he did buy a bunch of land, but he bought it from Sanborn.
Right.
But next door to Chris, there was somebody else that bought that parcel. Actually, he bought two parcels and he's developing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Up above what Chris bought, that's being developed.
Yes, that is as well.
And then there's supposedly a map out there that shows a lot of that, even across Sawyer Road, is being turned into solar farms.
That is correct. I think the Vista Farms that's up there has
Yeah.
agreed to be part of a solar farm thing. Yes. That's all up on top.
I'm sorry, what
this-
area specifically are you talking about when you said the
but what I'm talking about, does anybody know where the airplane is?
No,
Yes,
it-
I know where it is.
All right,
Yeah,
I'm
that-
talking south
North
of,
end of the lake by the marsh.
Yeah, Cheryl.
south of where
Two or
the
three
airplane
houses
is.
to the
There's a
left of it.
huge mass
Cheryl,
of,
your
oh, all right,
your
thanks.
old camp.
yeah, just point me where you want me to be.
okay, so
Right.
where are you
Right up
talking?
here.
Right
Cheryl,
there.
your old camp. That's
Yeah,
where
all
that's-
right, okay.
That-
On
that's-
the west side of the lake you're talking.
Yes,
it's on actually the north side. I mean, literally the north side.
Oh, all
no,
right.
that's
up
not
here.
where I'm talking about.
So where are you
I-
talking?
I'm
Fine.
talking, see where it says the horse barn is.
Okay, yeah, that's right
All
across
right.
from the house.
All right,
Oh, there, okay.
if you go west from there, that's Mars Point. That's where I am.
Yeah,
right across the lake, there's a huge acres and acres of undeveloped land. Now,
okay, that is
so-
that's owned by Shots.
That's owned by Shots.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's all owned by
Who
Shots.
is Shot? Is Shots a person or an organization?
It's George
per-
Shots.
Is it
Okay.
George
person?
Shaw-
Person.
Is someone you know? Okay, Shots, okay.
George Shaw, yeah, he's a
He
character.
owns the Sawyer Memorial, that big horse barn across the street from the Sawyer Mansion up
He-
on Sawyer Road.
Yeah, and he owns all the way to the lake.
He owns all the way to the lake, owns all the way to, well, he owns all the way to up to you, Cheryl, bordering
he
you, the road.
Yes, he does.
So
And I did-
most people think that there's no connection to Bates having any endowed land on this lake.
no,
You don't think it's true? Okay.
I can ask them, but I.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it would seem to me that that might be an incentive as to why they would be doing some of this if they have an endowment.
Well,
I-
Beach College used to own a cabin on top of Sabattus Mountain.
Well, that doesn't quite equal what my story was.
it's a possibility that Bates owns some land somewhere on the lake, but they don't own right there.
Okay.
No.
All right. Thanks for clearing that up for me.
I know they're out there multiple times a week, though. I know they were out there today. Originally, I was supposed to have that meeting with that student today, but they had run over when they were collecting some of the information from the lake. So that's why we had to reschedule. So
Hey, Nick, one other
Yeah.
question about Bates. Is there
Yep.
any chance that they could put some kind of a light on that buoy? So that it's
Um,
visible?
yeah, definitely. Let me write that down.
Because at dusk and early evening, it's very difficult to see. And after
Okay.
dark, forget it. And they keep moving it around, so you can't count on it being a specific place.
Yeah, I know that's part of they're trying to collect data from different parts of the lake.
Well, I know I was out at about 9 o'clock a month or so ago, cruising around about 20 miles an hour, and I came within 100 feet of it.
Mhm.
Fortunately, it was 100 feet away.
We would second that. It needs a light. It's hard
Yeah.
to see and it's a hazard. Someone's gonna hit it. I'm surprised no one has.
I will, I'll bring it up to them when I talk to them. And of course, the goal is to have them present to you all. I sensed a little hesitation and they're worried. I don't think that they got as much data as they were hoping for from just the way they were saying things. But like I said, the goal is just to figure out, are we starting from square one or do we have a little bit of a head start here with the
Yeah.
data and the data collection? So that is progressing. I will keep you all updated. And the last thing I have for this evening is actually that's it. That's all I have. Just a schedule for the next meeting. To schedule the next meeting, and that's it. Any questions, concerns, anything anybody wants to specifically talk about? I know it's 7:18 to respect everybody's time. Maybe we just an ending at 7:30, but yeah, Justin.
The only thing I wanted to add, I know there was some question with Dan on here a few weeks ago about the dam replacement, that whole thing. One of the things that I saw the other day from state DOT is they are planning in 2025 to replace the bridge over the river on 126 by the hardware store.
Yep.
So I'm not sure. I just wanted to put that on everybody's radar. It's still kind of fact finding. They just posted it the other day. They're going to have some community meetings and then some different options on design and replacement, routing and stuff like that. But I didn't know how that would tie in with the dam, because I'm sure they're probably going to have to block off or divert some water around there so they can do new pylons or whatever they're going to do for
On the bridge, they're not sure of the design yet.
Yeah, correct. It's still introductory. They want community involvement, design plans. They definitely want to make it a little bit wider. It sounds like either some pedestrian or bike lanes in there, that sort of thing. And then there was going to be discussion on construction, you know, how to construct it, either a temporary bridge and then rebuild, or close one lane at a time, or just close the whole entire Route 126 and divert traffic around. Because there's
Well,
different, there's different.
Yeah, that
concepts.
would be the quickest
Yep.
and least expensive one. And that would be the one that makes sense, because there are two quick ways around that bridge. One is go through the town of Sabattus, and you would go in up on the top of the hill and go right around through Sabattus and come out by the hardware store. That's a quick route. The other one is to go down Ballpark Road, up until you, what else? Jordan Bridge Road, and then Old Lisbon Road, and come out across the street from the hardware store. So in terms of saving money and time, that makes sense.
Do you
Yeah,
know if there's been any talk about replacing the bridge with a large double culvert? We've had a couple of bridges in Wyndham replaced that way in the past, and they've worked out really well.
They
20 or 30
haven't
foot culvert.
they haven't discussed it, they're still in the preliminary planning.
Hey,
Yeah.
We've had a couple done like that in Wyndham, and it worked out really well.
Well, I've spoken to
You
them.
eliminate the maintenance of a bridge.
Yeah. Well, I've spoken to them, and I said, the only thing I'd like to see, if you're putting in a bridge, I'd like to see it 6 to 8 inches higher to allow for flow coming out of the dam. Because when we are in real high flow out of the dam, the I-beams under the bridge are in the water.
No, like I say, that what they've done down here is, I'm going to say they're probably 20 feet across, and they put it in double culvert. And it's basically eliminated any maintenance for the bridge.
Well, I think the most important thing, Ken, is I just wanted to make notification for this group, because we all seem really interested on the lake. This is a very preliminary thing. If you go onto the state of Maine DOT website, they have upcoming projects you can click on, and it lists all the upcoming projects, and you can click on the river, the bridge replacement, and you can put in your email, and they'll put you in a mailing list for the group for community involvement and stuff like that. So I just wanted to make everybody aware. This is very beginning, infancy. They're not even talking about beginning the project for 2 more years. So
right.
No, I mean, it's great environmental scanning for keeping up on that. I appreciate that. I'm going to actually put my email into there too. So definitely something to keep on the radar for sure. All right. Anything else? Any other questions, concerns, anything like that? Lou, new members, Cheryl, anything?
I just happened to come across this meeting by accident on Facebook, and I didn't really know. I'm not really getting a lot of the information that you're putting out there about the lake, because I don't know how to reach this group.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's some great feedback. It was a concern that I've been thinking about as well. And I think now that we picked the name, we can really kind of pump out that type of messaging. We're going to create a Facebook group, and I can add you to our email list. Can you send me your email? Do you have my email?
I do not.
Okay.
Like I said, I came across this link by accident. I just clicked on it.
Thanks, Justin and Leslie. I will, can I get your email? Let me actually write that down. I'll send you an email and put you on our list.
Okay. OUE.
OUE, yep.
LLSH.
Perfect. Thanks.
@gmail.com.
Gmail.com. Awesome. Thank you. I will add you immediately afterwards and include you on there. Thanks for that feedback too, because that's important to know that we need to get that message out there.
Cheryl's bringing up exactly the point that we wanted to sort of take the websites that are out there on Facebook and make a new one with our own name. Because now it's kind of fragmented.
Right, we talked about that, was it last 2 weeks ago, saying I mean, we don't control all those different pages, but about figuring out how to have one page where all this stuff goes on. And I don't know how we do that. I guess we ask the people who own the pages or administer the pages if they'd be willing to. But some of the stuff is not related, right? I mean, some of the stuff is about fishing and you know what I mean? So,
Well, we also talked about having it be an umbrella for all kinds of communication, not just
Yeah.
about the water quality, but
right, yeah.
about the boat parade and the fireworks and
Absolutely. I think I focus on community events that are happening on the pond, and then the mix of more of like our project-based stuff is important. And I think it's also important to approach these other Facebook pages similar to like how I did, Donna, with yours, you know, and kind of just ask for permission to share this type of thing. If they're not interested, they're not interested. But I definitely think there's ways to go about that. And once we create our page, we can kind of have that be the central thing for it. Eventually too, I'd certainly think a website is in order just for like those storytelling moments that I was talking about, and having just a collection of all this information on there. Justin had actually emailed me earlier last week talking about a way to try to have all of the information we're talking about in these meetings easily accessible for people. I've been trying to do my best with Google Drive. I don't have a like a permanent, I don't have like a suite subscription to it, so I have limited space on there that is being taken up by a lot of the meeting recordings. But I would eventually like to have, so now that we have a name, I can create a YouTube page and I can just upload all of these to YouTube. So at that, I can take that space off of the Google Drive and I can just put in the YouTube link there. So now that we have a name, I feel I can create a Facebook page, make people admins and things like that, and leave it open. Is everybody comfortable with me creating a Facebook and YouTube page with the name and stuff? Okay.
absolutely.
I should be able to get to that between this week and our next meeting. And that brings it up to the last point. When are we thinking for the next meeting? I am not able to do next Wednesday or the Wednesday after. I can do other days of the week though. Apologize for that. And you are all more than welcome to meet without me. That is not the purpose. But I can
So
just
does
get
this-
Nick.
Thursdays work for us.
Yeah, pick a day, Nick, and let everybody know. And those who can attend, great. If those who can't, well, they can't.
and they'll have the recordings too, which is I think is important. Yeah. So how about let's shoot for next Tuesday, the 18th. Yeah, the Tuesday, the 18th. Does that work?
And then once you create the page, we can sort of invite people we know who are on the lake, that we know from the lake, and invite them to the group.
Absolutely. And I'm sure Chad and his page would be more than willing to share our page and its information. And I'm sure Donna too would probably.
Yeah, I just assume roll it right into the new one.
Yeah, we certainly can. So awesome. Great. I will get to work on that. I'll send you all an email update with all of this information tonight, and along with the link for the recorded meeting, and along with some other links about some other documentation we talked about in here too, just for access for everybody. So awesome. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it.
Thank
Appreciate your time.
And thanks, Nick.
Yep, not a problem.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Y'all have a great night.
So